All right, it's Tuesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. This is the City of Brainerd Personnel and Finance Committee meeting. Let's start with introductions.
All-around large Kevin Studick.
Chris Schubert, HR Director.
Connie Hillman, City Finance Director.
Nick Broyle, City Administrator.
Kelly Bevan, City Council, Ward 2.
Teresa Burke, Brainerd Dispatch.
Mike Duvall, resident in Tyrell Hills.
Dolly Madden, BPU.
Eric Charpentier, Executive Director of the Brainerd HRA.
Danny Locke, Finance Manager.
Mike England, UP Commissioner.
And Gabe Johnson, Chair of the Committee. We have 6 items in front of us tonight, the first of which is 2026 long-term disability and ancillary benefits proposals. Chris.
So we are required by law to solicit proposals every 5 years for insurance plans when the employer pays for a portion of the premium. Earlier this year, the council authorized staff and integrity benefits to conduct an RFP for our long-term disability insurance to meet that requirement. 3 proposals were received, and integrity benefits has provided an analysis for those proposals that's in the packet. Madison National is our current carrier, and they are proposing a 10% decrease to the premium rate with a 3-year rate guarantee if the city keeps our current plan design with a 180-day elimination period. Integrity benefits, by the way, mentioned this is the lowest rate of any of the clients that they represent, so it's a very good rate. We also requested an option for a 90-day elimination period that would match the Minnesota paid family medical leave that we benefit. That rate for that option would be an actual 17% increase from where we are right now. Based on the increase, and we would also need to negotiate any change with the unions, staff is recommending to accept the proposal from Madison National for our LTD insurance policy effective 1/1/26 with our current elimination 180-day elimination period. In addition, our insurance committee met on August 25th and discussed this LTD renewal as well as our ancillary benefits. Attached in your packet is the presentation for that meeting. The committee recommends that we switch to MetLife for our dental, accident, critical illness, and hospital plans for 2026, as the plans and rates are very competitive to our existing plans. Also, by doing so, this meets MetLife's coverage requirement to receive their 2-year rate guarantee to administer our paid family medical leave private plan. Please note that the premiums for all of those plans are paid fully by the employee. So the recommended motions are to accept the long-term disability insurance proposal from Madison National, effective 1/1/26, and also to accept MetLife's dental, accident, critical illness, and hospital plan proposals effective 1/1/26.
I so move.
Second.
Any questions?
Do we need 2 motions or one's good?
You're moving both of them, right? You only need the one. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is a change order for the library project HVAC. Nick.
Yeah, I got asked to brief this a little bit ago. Mike's upstairs briefing, so I'm gonna try to do this justice. I think that he did talk to Councilman Bevins a little bit as the library liaison. So at the April 21st council meeting, City Council has already approved. We went through Gordian. Gordian's the source well, you know, they have their cooperative purchasing thing. This Gordian thing, and I know Kevin Yeager asked a lot of questions about it a few months back, is kind of a cooperative bidding type service that they provide. So we went through Gordian. We got this approved through council to balance the HVAC system for the library. The total was $67.35. So since that time, Gordian they've chosen High Tech as to do this work for them. High Tech is recommending, as is, what's already been approved, $6,735. We'll have 2 air conditioners that work as advertised, and we'll take care of the humidity problem in the library. High Tech is recommending that we go from a single stage to a 2-stage system, which will allow the 2 units to work together as one, which will presumably make them a little bit more efficient and presumably extend their lifespan a little bit. Proposal for this is $8,385.50. So the delta is $1,650.50. Again, this is just to go from a single stage to a 2-stage to have the 2 units work together essentially as one unit. Staff would recommend the $1,650 delta, but I just want to make it clear that as is, they will function fine as 2 separate air conditioners.
Move to approve.
Second.
Well, I can explain it a little bit, but
Yeah.
maybe not better, but in detail. So we have one that's a year old or 2 years old that does the main part of the library. This is one that we just installed. HVAC unit sits above the main conference room. The humidity problem was determined, and I certainly cannot speak to this, to be a balance issue between the old unit and the new unit. Didn't work together well. Well, they both work now, but they're very independent of each other. This $1,650.50 makes it work much more efficiently. So, well, they'll talk to each other, and one will kick the other one on, et cetera, et cetera. So it makes sense, since we're trying to get rid of a humidity problem, for $1,650 to make it actually work.
And that money will come out of where?
Capital fund.
Capital fund, okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Next up, close some bond funds, Connie.
Yes, so the city paid off the general obligation improvement bond series 2013A, which was accounted for in Fund 317 in February of 2024. And it paid off the GO improvement bond series 2015A, which was accounted for in Fund 315 in February 2025. Fund 315 has a negative cash balance of around $1,900, and Fund 317 has a positive cash balance of about $12,900. The attached resolution transfers funds from 400 to Fund 315 to zero out 315, and from Fund 317 to Fund 400 to zero out Fund 317. The resolution also states that there's any delinquent taxes or special assessment payments received in the future, the funds will also go to Fund 400 as well. So staff's recommended motion is to adopt the attached resolution relating to finance transferring certain funds to and from bond funds.
I so move.
Second.
One question, we have like, Fund 400 is like $1 million in the positive, and our fund balance policy in the general fund isn't near where we want it to be. Why are we transferring this $10,000 to an overly healthy fund instead of one that's under where we want it to be?
We could change where you wanted to, I just thought it was $10,000, it wasn't that much of a difference. And so,
Mind the nickels and the dollars take care of themselves.
there you go, you're right. So I mean, we could do that, and then just any delinquent taxes go to Fund 400, is that what you're saying? We could just change it to be transferred from general fund as well. It would just be nice if the later collections all went to Fund 400, because,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, we don't know what we're gonna get. And-
Yep.
Yeah,
so that's totally up to council. I mean, that we did that 1 year for a different bond issue, when it was about 80,000, I just thought it was a smaller amount. And since the
And
one
we-
was negative.
I see what Gabe's saying is,
Yeah.
it would make sense, but we can still enact this motion, and then we could conceivably transfer that much, or more, or less, out of 400.
from 400.
Yeah,
into the-
from 400 as a separate motion, once we can see all the funds that are in arrears.
All funds that are in arrears.
Any funds, any or all, that Gabe mentioned as being in arrears, or in the negative, or not doing so well. Put up for adoption.
Okay, that, I'll support it, that's fine. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Next up is the HRA levy request, Eric.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In front of you is our levy request for 2026. As you can see on the agenda request, every year we need to bring this levy request to the city council. You are the ones that do set our levy year to year. In some kind of historical information there for you guys from going back from 2020 to 2025 on where maximum amount of our levy was versus the amount levied to the city. By state statute, we can levy up to 0.0185% of the previous year's EMV, estimated market value. And for 2026, that amount, that max amount is $227,866. The request from the HRA is to fund 100% of that levy. And in the subsequent documentation that you'll see, kind of a letter that outlines the high-level initiatives that we've been continuing to work on for the city. Our levy dollars go into our general fund, and with that we can then administer programs that benefit City of Brainerd residents. Currently working on getting another 18 units on the Outlot E and Outlot F. Those are two outlots that we own on the east side of Brainerd in the Brainerd Oaks area. We do have a developer that is willing to go on that. It is the same developer that's built out the rest of that residential area, looking at some duplexes. But to get them to the starting line did entail both the Crow Wing County HRA and the Brainerd HRA putting in some money to help with infrastructure. You guys are also hopefully aware that we, on behalf of the city, helped put together a request for funding for additional infrastructure dollars. So we're hoping and excited about that project, and we'll hopefully hear back from Minnesota Housing within the next month on if we are successful in garnering some money for infrastructure, but the project is a go without those funds that we've got. We continue to work on rehab programs. You are hopefully aware of Small Cities Development Program. We've got one going in Southeast Brainerd right now. That's moving along. We're in year one of a 2-year project there. We've got 6 out of 8 owner-occupied rehabs that have been awarded and completed, and 4 out of the 12 for our rental occupied units. So we're trucking along with that. On top of that, we've done a couple of Minnesota Housing Finance rehab loans with 3 additional loans that are in process throughout the rest of this year, and hopefully we'll pick up another 1 or 2. Obviously, all those loans are aimed at trying to rehab those units within the city of Brainerd, and we enjoy working on those. And then lastly, through deed, we did request a $600,000 grant to coincide with Washington State Reconstruction. Again, hoping to hear about that in September, hopefully, and that would go for streetscape and offsetting the funds for the city of Brainerd. So we are trying to work to get some grant money from outside of the city to be put into projects around here. State housing vouchers, those are going to be coming online at the beginning of next year. We're going to add another 34 to 40 vouchers on top of our 325 federal vouchers. It's a state program, so we're excited for that to come online. Those will be distributed out throughout the county, just like we do with our federal vouchers, but those will impact, certainly some Brainerd households, and excited about those projects. Still continuing on with our federal funds. We do public housing and our Section 8 program. Through 203 units of public housing, 325 vouchers. Those are, the public housing is all within the city of Brainerd. We've got costs to run that and keep that up. We do get get funding from the federal government for that. We are, just like I'm sure a lot of agencies, have some question marks about what our federal funding is going to look like in 2026. Some of the rhetoric out there is cutting public housing and vouchers by about 40%. We don't know that for sure, and I'm not going to be alarmist about that, but those are numbers that we've heard floating around. So we, just like every.
Well, let me stop you there. I mean,
Yeah.
are you asking the city of Brainerd to fill the gap of any federal funding you don't receive?
We're
Because
not.
that's just not even remotely feasible.
Correct, and we bring that up just to highlight and illustrate that, we understand that every tax dollar is important, and we've got funding questions outside of what this levy is. So we do want to just highlight that that is certainly an ongoing issue for us. If we go down to our kind of that budget, line item budget, and hopefully you guys got the more inclusive line item budget that I sent out today as well at the request of Councilman Chezak. You'll see kind of where our tax levy request is from 25 to 26. I'll be happy to answer questions on that presented budget. It is a projected balanced budget on the general fund side of things, knowing that we've got a lot of question marks with the additional budgets that we've got, that we're not sure where that funding's going to come in at, but we're happy that we can present a balanced budget here. There are some dollars in there reserved for our board to do projects. We're currently working with developers to try to get some housing interest in some of the city-owned properties that are available through the EDA. And so we are working diligently to try to get some of that rolling. And that is really where those funds would likely be utilized, as well as through our staggered site replacement program and any other projected, projects that our board would like us to work on. Would open that up to questions for the committee on what you're looking to do, and happy to answer that.
Any questions?
I have one, Mr. Chair. I don't know who the liaison is.
Kevin.
Kevin.
Mr. Yeager,
And I would certainly, and I still want to support the HRA. I think they do a lot of good things. In the past, as you look at the amount levied versus the maximum amount, the reason there's a disparity there, if I recall, is because the liaison determined and obviously convinced 4 votes of the council that the additional funding to maximum wasn't necessary, and part of it wasn't being utilized, and there was a balance sheet, which we haven't seen, that included some cash that wasn't being used. And I mean, I have no idea, 100% want to support the HRA, but I have no idea what the answer to those two questions
And
are.
I agree with you, Kelly. One of the main reasons I was a proponent of holding the HRA increase back from the maximum possible levy the last couple of years is because the Brainerd HRA staff is also the staff for the county HRA and the Crosby HRA, and I think the Crosby HRA is a good deal. The contract we have with the county has been a considerable amount of work, taking up over half of our senior level staff's time. And they track every hour they spend on county work. The city of Brainerd money is just treated as what's left over, we'll just spend that on ourselves. And what do they have here, another 13% raise in personnel costs this year? So we're continuing to pay more and more for county programming through the city of Brainerd's levy. But I would like to talk to Eric about it, or not Eric, I'd like to talk to Eric about it, but I'd like to see what Kevin thinks too, because I haven't been the liaison there this year. So I would really like to hear his
Yeah,
opinion on it.
I would too. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, to the county point, I don't know if you guys read Brainerd Dispatch, but we are looking at considerable funding decreases at the county HRA level on our housing trust fund to $0,
Yeah, sorry, I unsubscribed this spring.
and that's okay. Just something that that commission is looking to do. So I would say, that offers more opportunity for us to work on Brainerd HRA initiatives as well.
A operating cut or the housing trust fund?
Housing trust fund.
Housing trust fund.
Yes. That is what has been reported.
So I think we should bring this upstairs and let Kevin make the motion.
I have absolutely no problem with that. That makes perfect sense.
Makes
I
sense.
like trusting our liaisons, they put in the work.
Yeah.
Until we get to the next item, then I'm gonna disagree with the
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah.
So next up is library. Connie, Kelly, you wanna just start pitching me now, or what?
Connie,
I'll
give us
start
some, yeah.
So attached to the packet was a letter from the library board president requesting the 2026 levy be at $155,840, which is a 2% increase from 2025. Also included in the packet was a history of the library levy since 2000. And also included in there was the minimum level of support that is required for the library for 2026 and about $116,900. The current budget and levy as of August 25th has a library levy at $152,784, which is the same as 2025. If the total requested is approved, the impact on the preliminary levy would be an increase of approximately 0.4%. So the recommended action is a motion setting the preliminary 2026 library levy.
I so moved.
No, I didn't tell us what amount, we've got two choices.
Or you got a range. You can do say.
We could go from 116,790 to any number we want above
You
that.
could,
Yes.
yes.
What number did you want?
Split
You wanna
the
leave
difference.
Kevin make the
The board president requests 155,840.
Yes.
It's very specific. It's a 2% increase. If you don't know, all expenses are up, including the Kichigami.
I would keep my motion out to 155.
Yeah, I will second that.
155,840, we did, I don't know if you guys were awake, 5 minutes ago, we did just give them $1,700.
Well, but that's.
And if you look at 2025 here, Kelly, at the bottom of that chart, you see it on the right side, it said it was a 2% increase. But during the holiday season, as we were driving around celebrating Christmas and going to visit with friends and family, my kids kept hearing these advertisements on the radio
Oh, I don't.
saying they have never increased our funding, we've never received a funding increase. Well, by golly, my kids were like, Dad, why won't you give the library money? I'm like, guys, we gave them a 2%, but no, not the radio ads won't say it. The friends of the public library aren't very friendly to the city of Brainerd, they'll say that. So I'm gonna not support it, but we'll take that motion upstairs.
Excellent.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, aye. Okay, direction on the pilot, Nick.
All right, I'll try to keep this brief. I really want to hear your guys' conversation. This is a significant item. Pilot, we're going to talk about payment in lieu of taxes from the public utility department to the city. We have the history there. So typically, the last few years, we've been hovering in the high 700s for pilot payments every year. Council asked staff last council meeting to kind of beat the bushes a little bit and see what other communities are doing. I have a platform where I can send an email out to all other city administrators that belong to the League of Minnesota Cities. We got about a dozen responses. There's a couple just numbers here, and Danny can certainly vouch for these. Current budget right now for 2026 is $780,000. Per their 24 audit, the electrical revenue was 26.7 million. That is real numbers. That's past tense project. That's what they did in 2024. Projected revenues for 2025 are 30.4 million. On the next chart, this is if you want to think of what percentage of gross receipts, if that's the way that you guys choose to go, that would be the numbers that we would have received in 2024 and that we would potentially receive in 2025. So just to give you some context, if we're hovering in the high 700s, we're in the high 2% if you just go by gross receipts. But ours is based on, I've also put the policy in here, so ours is based on, it's a function of kilowatt hours for retail electric customers, so that's the way that we're set up. So just as a quick synopsis, and then I just want to open up for conversation and get direction from you guys. I sent this out, I'll just give you some I'll give you kind of a broad brush. Princeton says utilities are technically their own corporation, they should set their own pilot amount. That's what Princeton says. This is Wadena, they do 4.4 mils per kilowatt hour with a minimum of $325,000 a year. Marshall does 5% of electric gross receipts. Elk River does 4% of electric gross receipts. New Ulm does 5% of electric gross receipts. Breckenridge does $250,000 a year, so they just set a number. And this could be done via resolution, it could be done through the budgeting process, however you guys want to do it. This is Grand Marais, they do $40,000, they have a franchise fee, which is $40,000 a year franchise fee, plus 1% of gross fees for electric services. This is another one, Janesville does 5% of electric gross revenues. So it's kind of across the board, everybody that responded to me, that I'm seeing a lot of around 4 or 5% of gross receipts. My recommendation to City Council would be to set the pilot where the pilot should be, independent of anything else, and try to find operational efficiencies elsewhere. That would be my recommendation. Set the pilot where it should be, and then we create operational efficiencies elsewhere.
What do you mean where it should be?
Whatever you guys determine it should be. It can stay the same. We can use the same formula that we have today. But if you want it to be 1%, 3%, 5%, whatever you guys want it to be, and then.
I'm supportive of changing from the mill rate to a percentage of gross electrical revenue, because as the world becomes more energy efficient, the revenue goes up, but the usage of electricity goes down, and that is just lowering the amount of the pilot program coming. I did some research on the American Public Power Association website, and they have a Public Power Gives Back annual report that they publish, and in the most recent one, the national average was 5.1%. The central region, where Minnesota is located, is 5%. So I really do think we should be at 5%.
I did hear from Hutchinson, to your point, Hutchinson, don't ask me for specifics, but the city administrator in Hutchinson did say that, he says, we're gonna revisit this because last year the utilities revenues increased, but our pilot payment decreased.
And yeah, we've seen that a couple of years with us. So I think it should be at 5%. that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
That's $700,000. I don't think we need to turn it to 5% tonight. I'd like to get a projection from Danny, from the Public Utilities Commission on what they have going on for the next 2-3 years of rate increases, what their projected revenue and expenses look like, what kind of capital projects they're doing, and find a way that we can fit in an ability to scale up maybe 1% a year for the next couple of years or something like that. But while we probably could just say 5% starting right now, that next second of his electricity is ours, I think we should try and scale it up and make sure we're working within the finances that the utility has.
And Danny did send out an email Friday, and that was sent out to the entire, today, so you maybe haven't seen it yet, that was sent out to the entire
I read it.
council today. So he had some data and he provided a recommendation.
I agree, it should be a percentage of revenues.
Mhm.
How much that should be, just looking at this and looking at our financial situation and looking at the budgeted revenue increase for 2020. It doesn't say. It says
25.
25 out of 30 million. It appears that like going at 3% for 2026 would be more than reasonable, but I'd like to hear from Danny as well, because I'm sure there's more, based on your email, there's more to the story.
Do you want to address it right now, Danny? We've got 3 minutes. Do you want to get us some information?
But I agree, I think it should be a percentage.
So, what I will say is when we look at our infrastructure projects, we were talking last year when we did the budget presentation, across all divisions, it was a 5 to 18% increase in rates across the board to cover our infrastructure and capital projects that we had. I don't have numbers off the top of my head if we set it at 3%, what that would do to rates. We did just increase rates June 1st, and they're scheduled to increase again at the end of the year, January 1st. So I guess I'd have to take some time to go look at it and present it, but I can put that as part of the budget presentation. I would look at any adjustment to the pilot. I would be looking at wanting to do a rate study and project that out and have that come from there.
We have to set a preliminary levy by the end of this current month.
Okay.
That puts somewhat of a,
Which means we need at least a number to put into that line.
and granted, it can be high, it can be lowered, but we have to set it by the end of this month. Remember, we've already scheduled that meeting, correct? No, we haven't. I thought we did.
We could do it at the next council meeting, but we talked about having a special meeting, because we wouldn't have our health insurance renewal
Right.
rate. But
Yep, that's what
Yeah,
I
we're waiting
thought.
for
I
it.
thought it was gonna be a week after that.
But we didn't schedule it for sure.
Okay. I mean, can you get us something within 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks?
I can make it happen.
Try and see if you can
Let's
fit in
just
a
do
3 or 4% for 25 and maybe up to 5 and 27 or something like that. I mean 26, 27.
I have no motion.
Well, yeah,
Well, if we
I'll
don't need
update
a
the
vote,
council
we're
and we'll
gonna
say we're waiting on Danny to get some more
Yeah.
information. And
Motion
Deb wants
to adjourn.
we're adjourned.